Good morning, Year 9s. I hope you all had a lovely weekend. So, before we start today's lesson, we're just going to familiarize yourself with the symbols because you'll see them on some of the slides. So we have press pause, watch a video, self-assess and mark your work. This is really, really important. Please, 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 you must self-assess. You must mark your work. Set a timer and then write down your answers. These will either be on your whiteboard or on the Word document that is attached to your assignment in Teams. Okay, so quickly, before we start the lesson, for 2 minutes, I would like you to write down everything you know about blood. Think about its composition, meaning what it's made of, and its function, which is its job. So if you press pause now, for 2 minutes, just write down some information that you have. Okay, so let's see some of the suggestions or answers that you could have come up with. You could have said transport oxygen from the lungs to everywhere else, transports carbon dioxide back from all the cells back to the lungs, transports nutrients from digestive system to all cells, transports waste, transports heat around the body as well, water around the body, salts around the body, also transports white blood cells to fight infections, hormones, it regulates internal pH levels. So remember we talked previously about enzymes and how they have an optimum pH. So this is what the blood does. It helps regulate the internal pH levels. It also has a hydraulic function. So it supports the blood pressure from the blood, some organs when they become engorged, so when they become big and swollen. Okay, so the big question, why are vampires dangerous? I would like you to pause just for 10 seconds, have a think about this, write it down if you have an answer. So pause now, please. Okay, so as we go through the lesson, hopefully you will be able to answer this question. So today your title is The Blood. You can see there is a link to a YouTube video. This will be found in Teams and it will say blood information video. So while watching the video, you need to write down a couple of sentences on your whiteboards that explain the function of cells found in the blood. So you have red blood cells, white blood cells, platelets, and as an extension, explain how these cells are adapted to their functions. Remember we talked about in the cell biology how they're all specialized cells and it's usually related to, at least in part, to their shape. So think about their shape, what they contain, what organelles they contain, what they might not contain. So what I would like you to do is press pause, watch the video, then write down your answers, please. Okay, brilliant. So now you have some ideas on your whiteboards and you've watched the video. You should have a bit more of an idea about the blood now. So I would like you to, on your whiteboards, either switch them around to the other side, or if you think you can remember, you can wipe off the stuff you just wrote on it. You are going to write down the roles of each of the components of the blood. So what do white blood cells do? What do red blood cells do? What does plasma do? And what does platelets do? So you are going to pause, write down your answers, then when you've done that, you're going to press play. Okay, so let's have a look at the answers. White blood cells, those would be repairing damage. Sorry, that would be fighting infection. So white blood cells, fighting infection. Red blood cells would be transporting oxygen. Plasma would be the fluid part of the blood. And then platelets, they repair damage by creating clots. So every time you cut yourself and you have a blood clot and then a scab, it's because of the platelets in your blood. Okay, so we're going to talk about transport in the blood, because you saw from the do now, the answers, that blood actually transports a lot of substances around your body. So the blood is a tissue that contains a fluid called plasma. As we already know, blood plasma transports red blood cells, white blood cells, and platelets around the body. So wherever they're needed, the plasma will transport them there. So if you have a look at the picture over here on the right, what do you notice about the color of the plasma? So this is some blood. It would be put in a machine called a centrifuge, and this separates different solvents by their mass. So depending on the speed you spin it at, different solvents will be separated. For example, you can see red blood cells, then white blood cells, this thin layer over here, and platelets, and then we have plasma over here. So what you should have said is that it is straw colored, and it is. But we now know that plasma, which is the straw colored solution over here, it also transports many other substances. So we're going to have a look at a few of those in a bit more greater detail. So first of all, it transports oxygen and carbon dioxide. So just think about it just for a few seconds. Where would we get oxygen into our blood, and where would we be able to remove carbon dioxide out of our body from? And if you said alveoli in the lungs, you are correct. So you can have a look and you can see that as the blood comes in, the blood plasma takes the carbon dioxide, which is a waste product of respiration, and it diffuses. Remember, diffusion is the movement of gases. It diffuses out of the blood into the alveoli because they have a very thin membrane. They're only 1 cell thick. But then you can see as you breathe in, you take in oxygen. The oxygen is then put back into the blood, and the plasma transports it to wherever it's needed. So the second one, urea. So this is a waste product created when protein is broken down in your liver. Urea is transported from the liver to the kidney by the plasma. So that's a really important use of plasma. Then we have finally, which we talked a bit about this in digestion, so you should remember it. Small soluble food products, soluble means can dissolve in water, pass into the blood from the small intestine. And we know this because when we look at digestion, we know that in the small intestine, this is where all the nutrients are extracted from our food. So food molecules are then carried by the plasma around the body to the organs and individual cells where it's needed. Okay, so we have a bit of a consolidation task. If you go to your team's Word document, you will find the questions there. You need to type in your answer. Then at the end, once the timer has gone, if you come back to this video, I will give you the answers. You must correct your answers. If you don't self-assess, it means you're not reflecting. So it means that if you got a mistake and you made a mistake now, you're going to make the same mistake again because you're not reflecting, you're not trying to improve your work. And make sure when you are marking it, if you have any corrections, which is fine, you need to make sure it's in a different colored font. So when I look at it, I can see, oh, brilliant, they have self-assessed. Okay, so you are going to set your timer for 6 minutes. You're going to write down your answers on the team's Word document. Then you are going to unpause the video, then self-assess it. So pause when you're ready. Okay, brill. Let's have a look at some of the answers. So what does blood plasma look like? It's a yellow straw-colored liquid. Fantastic. Next one, what are its functions? Transports blood cells, carbon dioxide, urea, food molecules, etc. Then we have, for the next one, what are the dangers of blood loss? So now this is actually thinking outside the box a bit. You haven't been necessarily told about this information, but let's see how much you know. If you said blood flow decreases, you'll be right. Blood flow does decrease because there's less blood, so it decreases the blood flow. Body constricts blood vessels to maintain pressure. Remember what I said? Blood helps to maintain the pressure in the body. If you're losing lots of blood, your blood vessels have to constrict, which means they get smaller to try and increase blood pressure. And what happens if your blood pressure drops? You faint. This is why some people, when they have low blood pressure, you tend to faint. Also, essential nutrients will not be delivered to all cells. So the cells won't get the nutrients they need. Sometimes they won't get, for example, glucose, which is sugar, which is used for respiration and energy. So if those cells don't have any energy, they can't do their job. They can't function properly. An extension. Why is donated blood important? You will come up to an age soon in which you will be on the blood donor register. And hopefully you will be able to see why it is a good idea for you to be on the register to help people out. So we have replace blood loss during injury. Think of an accident. Someone will need blood. Even in COVID now, they need blood transfusions from people. Some people, especially people who have survived COVID, because they will have white blood cells, antibodies. Platelets help blood to clot. Some people have a certain disease, they're called hemophiliacs, which means they don't have enough platelets. So if they get a cut, no matter how small it is, they will keep bleeding and bleeding and bleeding because a blood clot won't be formed. So this is a good way of replacing those platelets. Also, like I said, antibodies extracted from blood. If you have had COVID before, you will have antibodies because you would have had an immune response. Your body would have said something foreign is here. They would have produced antibodies. So you could technically take the antibodies from someone who already had COVID and then transfuse them into someone who has COVID at the moment to allow them to have those antibodies. So going back to the big question, why are vampires dangerous? So again, pause for about 10 seconds, rethink about this. Why are they dangerous? Okay, so we have another video for you to watch. It will again be in the resources section, and it's going to say white blood cell video. You are going to click on the video link in the team's assignment, watch the video, and then write down on your whiteboards what is going on in the video. It's quite a cool one. I like this video. Okay, so press pause and then come back to this once you've watched the video. What you should have seen in the video is actually a white blood cell, which is called a phagocyte, and it is actually hunting the bacteria or the virus down, and that is what happens inside your body. So if you have a virus or a bacteria inside your body, you can see the white blood cells, these specific type, because there's a few different types of them called phagocytes, they will literally hunt them down, engulf them, then they release chemicals which basically dissolve them and destroy them. I think that's pretty cool. Okay, so we have consolidation task 2. You will find this table on your Words document. You are going to fill in the table. There is another PowerPoint which says information sheet. There's some information there. But what I would like you to do is, if you can find other extra information on the internet, BBC Bite Size is a great place to find information, and you can add more information to these tables, I will be so impressed. But not only that, it will help you. You will have learned more information than you need, which is what you always want to do. You always want to learn a little bit more. So what you're going to do is, when I tell you, you're going to pause the video. Set your timer for, say, 20 minutes. If you think you can do it before 20 minutes, brill. But try and do it within 20 minutes. Write down your answers in the table on the Word document. Then you are going to self-assess or mark your own work. This should be quick because you have the information sheets there for you. Okay, so off we go. So pause now. Okay, so here are the answers. Check them on your sheet. Make sure you've put diagrams in as well. So I'm just going to go through a few of them. White blood cells, they help fight against disease. Correct. Platelets, what do? Form a blood clot to prevent blood loss. Then we move on. We have phagocytes, for example, in the white blood cell. They ingest or eat microorganisms that may enter your body. Then we have, how are white red blood cells specialized? They're specialized because they carry lots of red pigment called hemoglobin. This helps carry the oxygen around our body. So have a look. If you need to, you can pause the videos at any point and then write down the information. Then we have the final task. What I would like you to do is, you're going to quickly, just for 2 minutes, and I think 2 minutes will give you more than enough time, you need to put the correct answers into the table. So this is like an exam question that you might get. So have a go, pause, 2 minutes, write down your answers, then we will self-assess. Okay, let's see how you did. Now I want you all to be getting all of these correct now. You have transfer most oxygen, plasma, helps blood to clot at the wound, platelets, defends the body against microorganisms, white blood cells, transports the products of digestion, red blood cells. If you put plasma here, ooh, you could get the points. So I will be nice here. You can put plasma as well. Okay, so now what I would like you to do is to make sure when you go to your assignment in Teams, once you have completed this, you need to press submit. Remember, if you don't press submit, I won't get the document and therefore I cannot see your answers. So, good luck. Any questions? Ask me and have a great day.